A BetterHelp ad. Hold on. 1 second. I just need to... What if you had a room where no one interrupts? No notifications, no expectations, just space to talk. With BetterHelp, therapy happens in a space that's yours. Visit betterhelp.com/randompodcast for 10% off your first month of online therapy.
Hi, it's Sarah. I'm the founder of Olive and June, and can I tell you the one thing that always makes my day better? A fresh manicure. But who has the time or the money to go to the salon every week? That's why we created the Olive and June Gel Mani System. It gives you that same mani that you get at a salon for so much less. It comes with everything you need, a pro-level lamp, salon-grade tools, our damage-free gel polish that lasts up to 21 days. All you do is prep, paint, cure, and you're good to go. And the best part, it's super easy and so affordable. Each mani breaks down to $2. So let's skip that $80 salon appointment and get the salon quality look at home for so much less and on your schedule. Head to oliveandjune.com/DIYgel20 and use code DIYgel20 for 20% off your first gel mani system. That's oliveandjune.com/DIYgel20. Code DIYgel20 for 20% off your first gel mani system.
Oh, the kettle's boiled. Excellent timing. I'll just make myself a quick cuppa, take a deep breath and pretend I know exactly what I'm doing. Right, let's get started. Have you ever woken up on a Sunday morning with massive anxiety and said to yourself, I'm never drinking again, only to find yourself waving $50 at a barman by happy hour? Do you ever wonder why everyone else can stop at 1 while you end up at a dodgy after party holding hands with a weird bloke called Disco Dave? If so, it might be time to take a closer look at your reliable social crutch, alcohol. On this podcast, I investigate my own deeply dysfunctional dealings with booze and find out what it's really like navigating this alcohol-drenched world, one fizzy water at a time. I'm going to open up a shame shed of humiliating drinking stories to help you understand why waking up with one eyebrow missing and a kebab sticking out of your top pocket might actually be negatively impacting your health. So what happens when you put down those cheeky pints and finally let go of those rewarding mummy wines? I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm Victoria Vanstone, and this is Sober Awkward. Oh, right, here I am. I just got back from the gym where I am continuing to lie to my gym teacher. She's put me on some sort of challenge, and I have to send her my weight, and I keep lying about it. Because, yeah, she only does the measurement. She doesn't do the weight. So I keep making it go down where actually it's going up. But, you know, we'll see what happens with that. Please don't tell anyone. I can't believe I'm telling you here. If you know me and you live locally, please don't go and tell her. Because I'll get in trouble. I'm having a good week this week because I've turned a few corners. If you listened to last week's episode, then you'll know that I was having a bad week, but things are looking up. And actually, I got a message from our lovely Hamish, who I'm missing terribly, of course. And my week's going okay because I'm spending it comparing my week to his, because his week is not going well. I'm going to play you, without his permission, actually, a message that he sent me yesterday. Here we go.
Hey Vic, good times this end. Romy started throwing up on Friday. Saturday, the hand, foot, and mouth arrived. Neither Liz and I slept great on Sunday night. Monday, Liz starts violently throwing up with both kids in the morning. I managed to get Sunny to daycare. She's throwing up all day with Romy. About 11 a.m. She's like, hey, you got to come home. I'm throwing up. I can't look after Romy. Everyone woke up in pretty good spirits. Took him to daycare at 8. Got a call about 9:30 saying, please come pick him up. He started throwing up. So Liz is now home with Romy, who looks awful, but I don't think feels awful. Liz, who's coming back from sickness, and Sonny, who's thrown up.
Yeah. Poor Haim. I shouldn't laugh. I just sent a message back. I didn't try and placate him in any way or say, you know, bad luck and I'm sorry you're having a shit week. I just sent a message back that said, sometimes, Hamish, parenting is fucked. At times, you don't need someone telling you it's going to get better or how to do it better or you should or you could. Just need to know that other people have been in the same boat. So he said he's going to get a tattoo of that. Vic, parenting is just fucked. Anyway, today we're talking about introverts. I read a quote this week that made me laugh and slightly wince. It said, alcohol is how boring people have fun. Sorry, drinkers out there, that is a bit tough, slightly savage. But also, if you really think about it, there is something in there. So many of us grow up believing that drinking is a shortcut to joy, the personality enhancer, the glitter cannon of our lives, the thing that turns a cheeky Tuesday into a funny story. And then we get sober. And we realise, there's actually loads of other ways to experience joy, real ways that, you know, don't involve you rolling around in bed the next day feeling like you're going to die, which I did for years. Ones that don't involve anxiety or apologising to people and sending texts that you don't remember and buying something online. I did that a few times. In fact, I think it was Hamish who'd booked a holiday when he was pissed. So the only catch when you go sober and you want to experience joy is that you actually have to leave the house to go and try and find them. You have to show up and socialise and you have to sit in a room without the old prop. And for some people, that can feel very, very, very awkward, which is what this podcast is based upon. So how on earth do you leave the house and socialise when you're sober and suddenly so aware of bloody everything? So today we're bringing in an expert to help you understand yourself socially and maybe get yourself out of the house a bit more. I'm joined by Jenny Valentish, author of An Introvert's Guide to Leaving the House. Jenny is a journalist and author who has written extensively on identity, subcultures, behaviour and the psychology of how we move through this weird and crazy world. She's also the author of Women of Substances and Everything Harder Than Everyone Else, and she has a brilliant way of pulling apart why we behave the way we do. She's also a mate, so that makes this much, much easier and much, much more enjoyable. Today, we're not talking about anyone's drinking story as such. We're talking about temperament, identity, and a little bit about Berkshire, Reading and Slough in particular, because that's where we're both from. And we're also going to chat about what it feels like for someone who has used alcohol as a social buffer their entire lives, and then they remove it. So if you've ever stood at a party, holding a warm cup of tea, thinking, who the bloody hell am I right now? This one's for you.
I would say I knew I was an introvert way before I started using the words. I was called awkward a lot growing up. And then when I was in my 20s, that was graduated to fucking awkward. People called me that a fair bit. So I'd kind of accepted that I wasn't very good socially. I probably would have preferred the word sociophobe because it sounds a bit more edgy. But my mum said even when I was a kid, you know, like a baby really, she'd try and make quality time for me and I wouldn't be interested because I'd be in my own world. Thank you very much. You may go. So I've always had this, some might say standoffish kind of demeanour where I'm just sort of a bit startled if somebody approaches and starts talking. But nonetheless, you know, at primary school, I was quite confident and did really well at school. And it wasn't till high school, like that kind of puberty age, where I just became one of those kids who got lost between the cracks because I changed really dramatically. I'd had some things happen in childhood that were traumatic, and I think they tend to hit when you hit puberty, a bit of a delayed response. And I really withdrew, and I started drinking at about 13. My dad had a great supply of alcohol, so I was able to raid the cupboard without being noticed, or perhaps he just didn't want to have a difficult conversation. So I'd go to London on Saturdays because, like you, I lived in Berkshire.
Yeah, we're both Berkshire girls, aren't we?
Yorkshire, not Berkshire.
Yeah, where Isambard Kingdom Brunel built the railways near where we live. Bit of Reading history for you there.
I didn't know that.
The biscuit factory, there's all sorts of things I could tell you about Reading.
Mars bars. Mars bars in Slough.
Oh, Mars bars in Slough. Mars bars and The Office. That's what you're famous for in Slough.
That's it.
And just generally being a bit of a dump, like Reading.
Well, Jimmy Carr's from there as well, the comedian. And he said, I grew up in Slough in the 1970s. If you want to know what Slough was like in the 1970s, go there now. But I digress. So I used to go to London, like, I was like really hell-bent on escapism. Let's get out of here. And I'd fill an empty Body Shop shampoo bottle with everything from Dad's liquor cabinet, neat, and just get shit-faced and just walk around London on my own. I was a real loner. I'm not sure why I didn't try and do these kind of things with friends. I think I kind of wanted to be alone, knew that perhaps my friends wouldn't have wanted to be swigging out of a Body Shop bottle during daylight hours, maybe evening, a bit more acceptable. And so, I became a real loner. And when I got a little bit older, my mum would drive me to the pub, like at 16. I'd preload, on vodka and stuff and get there and get completely wasted and have to be picked up off the pavement when she came to pick me up later. I didn't realize it, but it was all about social anxiety. There's probably other things in there too, in the mix, like, hereditary stuff. My dad was a really heavy drinker and, trauma. But it's only really when I stopped drinking later and really thought about it that I thought, so much of this is just general discomfort of being around people. Like I was a real runner. So let's say I went to the pub with friends until the drinks started to kick in, like, drink 3, I would keep just jumping up and literally running around the block and coming back because the discomfort of sitting still at a table with people was just so intense.
Wow, that is intense. I mean, I know that feeling. When I recently went away somewhere with a group of sober people, I could feel that tension in the room. Like it's every night out throughout my youth and even now, it starts with that tension still. And to jump into those moments without alcohol can feel so confronting. But it's amazing now how quickly I can push through them and just go, look, we're all here. We're all in the same boat, especially with a group of sober people. It can feel a lot easier to push past those moments. But of course, when you're growing up and you're in pub culture and you've already got a bit of trauma and you're carrying around a bit of weight and you're perhaps a bit introverted as well without even knowing it, it's going to be so much harder. And no wonder we lean on the drink. And there shouldn't be any guilt or shame about those situations because what else are we expected to do? We haven't been taught how to behave in that social situation. It doesn't come naturally to everyone. And it sounds like it didn't come naturally to you.
Well, the problem is if you start really young and use it as a crutch for everything, then you never learn the skills. Like you literally don't learn until eventually things get too much and you have to stop using drink and drugs. So when I did eventually stop, I stopped for 8 years. I had to learn to do everything sober. Like I'd never go into a work meeting sober. I'd have a couple of wines first because I'd be nervous. And also like constantly using alcohol as a crutch from a young age. If you've got poor self-esteem, it's never going to bloom because you aren't treating yourself as a confident, autonomous human being who's got valid things to say.
Yeah, totally.
Like, I will only have the courage if I have 2 wines in me. That's not a great message to send oneself.
But it's such a normalized message. That's the problem, isn't it? Is that this is how we do it. Dutch courage. Like this is how you're going to feel good. This is how you gain confidence, especially growing up in the 80s. I mean, my only images of my peers are them swilling some ice around in a glass of whiskey and telling me that this is what you need to do to fit in. So no wonder you turned to drink. I'm sure most of us did for various reasons at that young age where we were stealing booze out of the parents' drinks cabinet and using it to pimp our personalities in some way. I felt like my personality wasn't strong enough or bold enough or big enough to fill a room, which is what I saw my parents doing. So I can imagine that, it was an easy go-to.
Yeah, I think it was all about building a tougher exterior as well because like I get told quite a lot now, and I'm 50 now, that people who don't know me find me a bit intimidating, and it's because I'm not that naturally warm, but I've got like really tight boundaries, and I'm really slow to make friends and trust people. And so I think I very much did build this persona when I was younger of, I was really into like heavy metal and Hunter S. Thompson and Gonzo characters and stuff. So it was all about, okay, let's build this bulletproof, tough exterior. And becoming a music journalist and later just journalist, that was an acceptable thing, like I moved to Australia and I worked for Ralph magazine, which was this lads mag, a bit like Loaded in the UK. And I remember reading a book that the founder had written before I came over. And he was kind of immortalizing one of the writers because he'd always be asleep under his desk. He'd just sleep in the office, pass out. And so that, you could hide in plain sight in that kind of industry. And you were supposed to be that kind of slightly gritty, grotty persona. And that was completely acceptable.
Was it James Brown that book you read?
I have read James's book, but no, this one was by Mark Dapin or Dapin,
yeah,
I'm not sure how you pronounce it.
Yeah, because we interviewed James Brown on the podcast, and his hedonistic lifestyle in the 90s, when I think he was the founder of Loaded magazine, he told us all about the ups and downs and that culture in itself. Like, we could mention any work culture in any country, and it involves a lot of drinking and a lot of fitting in and a lot of showing up perhaps when you don't want to, and working at weekends and showing clients around and entertaining people. So you went from a drinking culture as a teen straight into another culture that was deeply invested in drinking.
Well, you also, like me, we grew up during the Ladette period in the UK. And it was just, a media term given to women who could drink like men.
Yes, embarrassing.
They could drink men under the table. They drink pints.
I mean, surely we could have come up with a better way of showing that we were better than men than trying to drink them under the table.
No, well, the same. I mean, I think I had so much internalized misogyny that it was like almost trying to be worse than men towards women and myself. That's a whole other book and story, to be honest. But I realized as well that I was turning into this very British creation that is the job's worth. It's a term, it's a noun, but it's short for a phrase, which is, I'm sorry, I can't do that. It's more than my job's worth. It's a bit like, I can't do that. It's above my pay grade.
Yeah.
And so I was becoming like a reluctant person who didn't want to give out, who'd give, to give. Because if you give people something, where do they stop? You never know what they want next. So this social anxiety stroke introversion was morphing into just being super unhelpful and negative, which is why I thought, okay, I need to write a book exploring social reluctance and, try and persuade myself, apart from anyone else, like the benefits of actually having a natural curiosity about other people and really trying to get those conversations going deeper so that you actually come away with a sense.
Vic, so do you fancy coming on a sober holiday?
Don't worry, we're not talking about some corporate wellness retreat with cucumber water and enforced eye contact.
No, this is a sober awkward retreat. 8 days of sun, sweat, laughter and absolutely no hangovers.
Yep, it's all happening in Thailand next October. Picture this: yoga at sunrise, writing workshops, ice baths, Thai boxing, and lots of awkward sober dancing under the stars.
It's a proper holiday with proper weirdos, our kind of people.
Yeah. You'll meet legends who've also given the booze a boot and want to have fun without feeling like a social reject.
Come solo or grab a mate. Bring your awkward, bring your sun cream. No pressure, no judgment, just a big, warm, sober hug in paradise.
All the info is at soberawkward.com/retreats. Come and get sweaty with us, emotionally and physically, in our all-inclusive jungle resort. You'll start out as 15 strangers and leave with 15 new sober mates.
I'm not sure I want 15 new sober mates, actually, particularly sober ones.
Yeah. Oh, well, you're not invited then.
A BetterHelp ad. Hold on. 1 second. I just need to... What if you had a room where no one interrupts? No notifications, no expectations. just space to talk. With BetterHelp, therapy happens in a space that's yours. Visit betterhelp.com/random podcast for 10% off your first month of online therapy.
Of meaning rather than, that was awkward.
It sounds like, Jenny, that growing up, we were the opposite. And I feel like I would have liked to have been more like you. Like, you had your walls up and you maybe didn't trust people and you kept yourself to yourself and you were quite stoic in who you were, which you felt was to your own detriment. But for me, I was the opposite. I was like an open book. I said yes to everything. I was a people pleaser. And both of those things aren't good. They're not healthy. And it certainly wasn't healthy for me to be sort of abandoning myself and giving my body away and saying yes to everything. It caused me to overdrink and overdrug and all of those other things that were bad for my health. And it shows, doesn't it? Like, it doesn't matter who you are, and it doesn't matter how far your walls up or how down they are. You still have to go through and you have to navigate this era where drugs and alcohol are on hand and pop out the other side and have learned something. And that can feel really hard. And I know there's going to be people listening who are like, I'm an extrovert. What's this got to do with me? Or I'm an introvert. I like to be closed off. But for all of these things, it's a learning curve, isn't it? And you are an expert on being an introvert because you've written a book about it. Why did you decide to write the book?
Just to return to an earlier point you made, to be clear, I gave my body away too.
Yeah, I thought so.
So this is the problem, right? And I think this would be relatable to anyone, not just introverts. The problem is, if you drink a lot or take a lot of drugs, if there's certain parts of yourself that you're trying to suppress or hide, then once you add an awful lot of alcohol, you can't anymore. And in fact, you kind of slingshot in the other direction. Like, oh my God, my inhibitions are down. And so you become everything that you've been trying to repress. So I would become indiscreet. I'm promiscuous is a bit of a 90s word, isn't it? But I would just feel like this complete cognitive dissonance between who I really was and who I was presenting as when I was shit-faced. And I was really prone to blackouts or brownouts as well. Brownouts being the more patchy ones. So not when you shit your pants.
I don't think I had many brownouts then in that case.
So yeah, you've got this horrible feeling of people have this impression of me that is wrong, but I can't blame them that it's wrong because that's all they've been seeing for the last 10 years.
I guess it has to do with masking. And if you've got a mask up all the time, it's eventually going to come down. And that's when you start to understand yourself and perhaps go towards sobriety or change because you're fed up of acting in a certain way that isn't suiting your character, perhaps. There's only so long you can keep a mask on before it starts to get a bit askew.
I got an ADHD diagnosis 10 years ago, but since then I was seeing this addiction psychologist for 3 years, and it happens that his other specialty was adult autism, and he was like, no, you're autistic. And I never went down the route of diagnosis because I thought, you know what, I'm 50, I don't feel like it's that important for me to learn that answer now. But it did kind of crack open a lot of memories and ideas in my mind of, okay, well, maybe everything makes a bit more sense now. That feeling that you're constantly being misunderstood or misinterpreted. But really, if you have a good hard look at yourself, you can see that maybe people weren't taking you the wrong way. You just weren't expressing yourself very well, or there are just all these kind of unchecked behaviors running rampant. And so, yeah, it's so complex, isn't it? I think social anxiety, neurodivergence, introversion, they all overlap, neuroticism,
menopause,
and so or puberty.
Yeah.
Yes.
All of it layered on top of each other creates these women that we are today, which we're all right, really. I never realised it for a while.
Yes.
Actually, we're fine.
Oh no, I'm very happy with myself today, and in full acceptance. And I think that comes with learning, with being more literate about things like neurodivergence and addiction. And you hear other people's stories, and suddenly you're not this kind of frustrating mystery anymore, that you're being distressed by your own actions. Suddenly you have context and names for everything.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about your turning point when I know you gave up drinking for 8 years. What led up to that decision?
I tried everything. I'd done stuff like hypnosis. I was constantly, crying in the GP's consulting room, lots of therapy. I'd stopped quite a lot of times, but just for a month, it would be really just to let some crisis pass and hope people would forget about it. But I couldn't see how you could actually stop. I thought, how is one supposed to live their life? I'd met very few sober people. I was working in the music industry, so there were a few, but to me, they were like unicorns, and I was just blown away. Like, oh my God, that person hasn't drunk for 5 years. I've heard, like, oh,
Yeah.
So I was on this big slide. Sometimes I'd have a few years where things would improve a bit. I'd be in a healthy relationship, and then it would just go down. And then I was just on this one last slide where somebody popped up from my childhood and just completely triggered me and sent me on like a year-long absolute bender spiral. And it just couldn't last. I had one last bad night, and I woke up with this surety. I thought, you've tried everything. It hasn't worked. So you have to stop. You have to stop, or you have to accept that this is your life.
Yeah.
And so I stopped.
Yeah.
And I was very lucky because I was one of those people where it was like, no, that's it. And with every cell in my body, I was like, I have stopped.
Yeah. It's interesting.
So it wasn't the one day at a time thing.
Yeah. It's interesting. I had that absolute same realization as well. I woke up one day and was like, this cannot go on. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm going to do, but this is not working. Me feeling anxious every Sunday morning. And I think for a lot of people, it does naturally come to an end. It doesn't have to be this big blow up or this, your life completely imploding. I mean, it can be a gentle implosion, can't it? Sometimes an implosion that sort of creeps up on you, that's been bubbling under the surface for a year or for 5 years. For me, it was definitely 5 years where something was up that I was choosing to ignore. And sometimes you can tune into that before your life completely goes down the drain, which I'm sure mine would have done if I'd carried on.
I was having this overwhelming feeling that I was going to die, whether it be staggering in front of a tram or being attacked, incapacitated. It was just this real surety. And so I was going to see a hypnotist, but it would just make it worse because I was saying to the hypnotist, he's very good. He's helped a lot of people stop smoking. But I was saying to him, okay, you need to tell me I can only have 2 glasses of wine and only after 6 p.m. and not if there's anyone from work anywhere near the vicinity. And he was like, that's not going to work. And I'd be like, just do it. He gave me these tapes to listen to in between sessions of, like positive affirmations. And I'd just be walking down the street with headphones in, weeping, listening to them.
It's funny what we do. When I first went to a therapist, I walked in and said, I need you to teach me how to drink well. I really was thinking, oh, come on, we can do this in 12 weeks. Like, let's teach me how to moderate, and then I'll be able to do it. I promise I'll walk out of here being the best drinker ever and never have a hangover again. She was like, no, same thing. That is not what's happening at all. Yeah.
You can get, in tandem with the rise of people who are sober or sober curious, etc., there's also a rise of alcoholic drinks that sort of purport to be healthy.
Yeah.
So like with electrolytes or made with spring water and, added magnesium. So it's...
Yeah. And there's Carver now. I keep getting people emailing me. So they want to advertise Carver, like the Fijian Carver that makes your teeth numb. And also I've heard of Cali sober, and there's a new term, which is intermittent sober, which is a new push for people who either do 1 year on, 1 year off, or 1 month on, 1 month off, and probably don't, get the entire benefits of sobriety or the long-term effects. But there are these different trends, aren't there? It's quite interesting. But yeah, none of them would work for me.
I think each person should just figure out what works for them. So, I wrote an addiction memoir, Women of Substances, and historically in addiction memoirs, I've read a lot of them. It ends with AA, and it ends with sort of a change in language that the writer's using and, a message of hope. I ended mine with very specifically a chapter about, it was called Choose Your Own Adventure, because I felt like there are different options out there. I want people to know that, or at least I want them to realize that your life remains in flux. Like, you can quit, but that doesn't mean angels are singing and everything's fine now. There's going to be lapses, relapses, or even if not, there's going to be down times, anxious times. So I just didn't want to like promote this message of, and then you quit and it's all fine.
Yeah, no, that's totally true. It's not all bloody unicorns and rainbows when you quit. You still have to deal with the ups and downs of life. And for some people, they're like, oh my God, I can't cope. I've got to drink again. But for me, those are the moments now where they're awful and they're shit when I'm in them. But when I pop out the other side of them, having not had a drink, it does build my confidence and make me feel a lot better about myself. Would you say you identify as an introvert? Would that be right?
So, yeah, I wouldn't go around saying to people I'm an introvert. I've had to in the past year because I'm promoting the book. But it's really a book that's just aimed at anyone who can find socializing and confidence and, you know, things like putting yourself out there, public speaking hard. Anyone who has a fear of judgment. Like there's a whole chapter on the spotlight effect, which is when we think that everyone is analyzing and watching us and that our actions are directly impacting everyone else, more so than it is, but we don't realize. So, for instance, you know, when I used to go to gigs in my teens and early 20s, I would literally think that everyone was watching me as I walked in the room and watching me as I stood in the crowd. Some weird kind of bent form of narcissism in a way. I guess it stems from shame, sort of poor self-esteem, but it's kind of like warped into this sense that you've got a spotlight on you. And I think that's quite common with people who drink and take drugs. So I really wanted to tackle that. There's a whole chapter on Dutch courage and the various things we use, including cigarettes. I mean, fantastic prop for the socially anxious, the cigarette. I think anyone who's ever struggled with drugs and alcohol would find it an extremely relatable book, whether or not they're an introvert.
Growing up, you know, I think I was an extrovert, and then I started drinking, and then that pumped up my extrovertism, if that's the word, even more. And I think I have tendencies towards both, actually. I can be an introvert, and I probably prefer that. But I also like going out, and I really love socializing. That really fills my cup. I actually had to look up the definition of an introvert, and it says the definition of an introvert is someone who tends to feel more energized by spending time alone. It's someone who finds large social gatherings draining and who needs quieter environments to recharge. That was from some online dictionary. I don't know how right that is.
I reckon it's the best summary, actually.
Okay, well, that's interesting too, because sometimes, you know, you get things offline, you're like, maybe it could mean that for certain people, but it might mean something else for somebody else. I don't know. But when I read that, straight away, I just thought, well, that sounds like early sobriety to me, because that's what it feels like. When you first stop drinking, even if you're not naturally introverted, everything certainly feels louder. Rooms feel busier, conversations feel more intense, and you notice music and lights and awkward pauses. Basically, you notice everything. And I felt that in early sobriety too. Do you think, Jenny, that some people temporarily experience the world more like introverts, even if they're not? I mean, is there a kind of heightened sensitivity that comes with removing alcohol that can make socializing feel more draining than it used to be?
Absolutely, yeah. You've removed your safety net, so you have to allow time to get used to that. When we have had a few drinks, our inhibitions are lowered, so we can have more intense conversations. And not only that, but the rest of the world kind of blurs so that we're just focused on who we're talking to. When you don't have alcohol or drugs, then you become acutely aware of the acoustics of the room.
Yes.
You know, crosstalk, nightmare. People, you're having a conversation, someone next to you is having another conversation. My brain just melts down. So, you know, also throw in things like neurodivergence, which affects a lot of us. And we might have things like rejection sensitivity.
Dysmorphia. RSD. Yeah. RSD is like my favourite topic at the moment. Like, I suffer from it majorly.
And so without alcohol kind of blurring the edges and flooding us with feel-good stuff, then we would probably pick up on cues, maybe even a bit too much, you know?
Yeah.
So yes, it can be like you're.
Howdy, howdy, ho, and welcome to Fantasy Fan Fellas. I'm Hayden, producer of the Fantasy Fangirls podcast and your resident lover of all things Sanderson.
And I'm Steven, your bookish internet goofball, but you can call me the Smash Daddy.
And we are currently deep diving Brandon Sanderson's fantasy epic, Mistborn. But here's the catch. Stephen here has not read Mistborn before.
That's right, hey. So each week, you'll get my unfiltered, raw reactions to every single chapter.
And along the way, we'll do character deep dives, magic explainers, and Stephen will even try to guess what's next. Spoiler alert, he'll be wrong.
Newsflash, I'm never wrong. Episodes come out every Wednesday, and you can find Fantasy Fan Fellows wherever you get your podcasts.
Over 90 of the top 100 U.S. accounting firms trust Bill to handle bill pay processes. Why? Because our tools are built on over $1 trillion of secure payments. We're not just moving money. We're powering financial workflows for 500,000 customers. That's a level of expertise you just can't fake. Ready to talk with an expert? Visit Bill.com/proven to get started and grab a $250 gift card as a thank you. Terms and conditions apply. See offer page for details.
Pro athletes don't spend their time meal prepping. They eat smart, train hard, and recover fast. Factor makes it easy with dietitian-designed, chef-prepared meals built to fuel your performance. Choose from high-protein, calorie-smart, GLP-1 support, and vegetarian options designed by nutrition experts to support strength and recovery. Train like a pro, eat like a pro. Right now, go to factormeals.com/healthy50off and use code healthy50off for 50% off and free breakfast for a year. That's factormeals.com/healthy50off, code healthy50off.
Can of Coke that's been shaken up. That's how I felt when I first stopped, like a can of Coke that had been shaken up, and you don't have anything to take the edge off. And I remember thinking, God, even just like if somebody hit me over the head with something or I head butted a wall, I feel like that would be an improvement. Like I just need to blunt everything. Blunt force. And I tried doing things as well to trick myself. Like I'd make myself a tonic with juniper berries or like something like a horseradish, bung that in a soft drink to try and give myself the kick that I was so desiring. All sorts of stupid stuff.
I mean, it's distraction, isn't it? You're trying to make a situation that feels incredibly awkward, which is what this podcast is based on, and making it feel okay. And we used to do that with alcohol, and we no longer can. So it's just a matter of finding a few strategies that are going to work in those situations to make you feel a bit better about it and a bit like you're going to survive it. Because that's how I feel sometimes when I'm socializing. I'm all right in small groups, but if it's a big group of people, like this thing I went to this morning, I went to like a breakfast talk by an entrepreneur, and I feel self-conscious like you. I feel like, oh my God, like, I feel like not comfortable, and who do I speak to and what do I say? And people would often say to me, like, you seem like a really confident person. I can't believe that you are mentally in turmoil when you look quite relaxed. And I wonder if everybody feels like that, Jenny, or is that just people like us?
I think everyone does, but you're in a situation where you don't have a role. It's completely different. For instance, it's the opposite to when you're running one of your retreats, right? So you are the person that people are looking to for answers. You've got the power in a sense. Yep. You've got purpose. You've got the itinerary, and so that's so much more easy because you know why you're there, what you've got to do, and how you can help people. Whereas when you turned up to that breakfast, all that there is for you to do is mill around uselessly.
Yeah. No, I agree. I'm like a blob just sitting there absorbing information. It's like I feel sort of pointless.
Just an amoebic blob, no features, just wafting around in some jelly-like substance.
That is exactly how I feel.
Hoping you find something to adhere to. So my advice to people is if you are going to any kind of social event is assign yourself a role, like wear an imaginary high-vis vest. So it could be, if it's someone else's event, have a word with them, like, what do you need help with? Or it could be a secret role, like, I'm going to look for the most awkward-looking person in the room and try and make them feel better. I'm going to strike up a conversation with that person. But to always try and bring a purpose to you going out to anything. And then I think just generally also, like, once we don't have alcohol in the equation, I used to not care how I was going to get home and wouldn't have thought about it. Now I like a plan. So maybe my plan is, okay, I'm going to leave after 2 hours and I might provide an excuse up front, or, I might just decide to discreetly say goodbye to the host and then ghost everyone else. Yeah. But, you just have in mind, okay, there's going to be a window here. I know what my window of tolerance is for socializing. and I'm going to stick to that and make the most of it and then go.
Yeah. How did you feel at your first ever social events when you gave up drinking?
I avoided stuff for ages. And then I had a festival coming up and I decided, I don't think we can call this Cali sober. I think this is pushing the description.
Yeah, it's usually just weed, Cali sober. Look, you're going to tell me you did some mushrooms, aren't you?
No, I'm going to tell you, I bought some over-the-counter codeine from the chemist and thought, okay, well, I'll just do that because that's not prescription, but you can get it over the counter. So, yeah. What happened was that turned into a massive habit that I didn't notice happening, to the point that I had to move desks at work. And I went to clear out my drawers and there was all these packets of this sort of codeine-based thing that had like maybe 2 pills missing, because in the morning I'd realize I didn't have any on me and I'd think I'll just stop by the chemist and get some. And then so I just had this endless supply of like opened packets. And then I was like, okay, wow, I really had a blind spot there because I did not know this was happening.
God, it's interesting how you can creep in something like that. Yeah, because it's just an answer. It's just a different answer, swapping the bitch for the witch, as they say. It's just a different answer to how you're feeling, when in fact probably what you need to do is to work out why you're feeling how you're feeling.
Yeah, and I remember saying to a friend after about a year of taking these pills without realizing, I said, I'm just itching all the time. I don't understand it. I think I must be gluten intolerant. And she asked me to tell her exactly what I'd had that day. And I did. And I included the 2 pills. It was not 2, but, started with 2. And she was a former heroin user and she just pissed herself. And she was like,
that's withdrawal.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's not the bread, love.
Yeah, it's not the amount of buns you've been eating. It's all the drugs you're taking, love. I mean, it's weird how we don't see that in ourselves when we're in it, but it is difficult socializing and coming out from being somebody who's a massive party animal and a reliable drinking buddy to then being this introverted person who likes to stay home and doesn't like loud music or big crowds. And then here you are, you've got to expose yourself again. You don't have to, but there does come a point where you need social interaction. As humans, that makes us feel good somehow. So you do have to integrate yourself back into society. Did you find it hard once the pills were out of the cabinet?
No, because first of all, I realized I don't have FOMO anymore after a period of time passes. Because, I lived in Melbourne and I worked as a music journalist. So I had gigs and stuff at my fingertips prior to that point. But I decided, actually I'd prefer not to go out all the time. So that was a slow realization. And then the other thing was, I realized if you swap like face-to-face socializing with people, swap it out for shoulder-to-shoulder activities.
Oh, yeah, I love this.
Yeah, shoulder-to-shoulder activities is actually the logo of the men's shed in Australia, because men prefer this generally too. If I'm sitting opposite a friend having a drink or a coffee, directly angled at them, I would find that uncomfortable no matter who they are and how much I like them. So, if we actually do a shoulder-to-shoulder activity and go out and do something, whether it's a walk, gallery, going to an event together, it's different. We're experiencing something together. We're not facing each other and having to make prolonged eye contact. For me, that's not a fun time. I realized, okay, there's so many ways you can actually socialize and enjoy it. You just have to be a bit more imaginative.
Yeah, totally agree with you. In some ways, I'm more comfortable in my skin, and other ways, I'm not. I am finding socializing harder in sobriety just because I'm conscious of how it makes other people feel too much. Like, I don't want people to feel judged by the fact that I don't drink and them having to self-reflect on their own drinking habits. So I guess people wouldn't want me at a party. Like, that's how I feel, like, because they're going to feel maybe I have to explain myself a bit, or I have to show Vic that I don't really drink that much at parties. And I just don't even want to go because I don't want to make people feel like that. Even members of my family, I just feel like generally I'm a party pooper. And maybe that is making me a little bit more introverted, even if it's not how I naturally am. And when I meet people like you and I meet people that have been on a similar path and understand what it's like to be one identity and then be a completely other one, that makes me feel relaxed and accepted, especially around sober people. I'm like, okay, I can take off this mask. I don't have to worry about how my choices are affecting someone else. Do you feel that you know yourself now?
Yeah, and I think that comes with age too. But also, I think vocalizing what's going on for you, you'd be surprised at how many people go, "Oh, fuck me too."
Yeah.
I mean, it helps that I've written a book
Yeah.
called The Introverts Guide to the House, because then people want to discuss their own experiences. But I think you would be surprised at how many people do feel really socially awkward. And, you know, with regards to not wanting to spoil people's fun, they've kind of flagged themselves as someone who's been thinking about stopping, I think.
Yeah, totally.
And they're not everybody, but it's not your fault that you've triggered them.
Yeah.
And most people, I don't think, would respond like that. I think most people wouldn't even notice if somebody wasn't drinking it. I would have.
Yeah, I would have.
I would have noticed.
I would have been on their case big time.
But I get what you're saying. Like, nobody wants to feel that way.
No, nobody wants to feel that way. And I think once you know some of your personality as you get older, as you age and learn more about yourself, especially in sobriety, you can come to terms with those situations a bit more and understand them and realize that person is probably wanting some help at some point, even though they might be being offensive to you on the night. They're going to be the one that's going to be sending you that email in a year's time going, "Oh, I've seen what you're doing. Like, I'm interested in being sober curious," and all those sort of things. But I certainly have rules. In fact, I'm starting to get much better than I was at how I socialize now. Like, I know that I don't like those loud rooms. I know I prefer a one-on-one or a beach walk. I don't really enjoy having my own birthday parties. That's taken me a long time to come to terms with, because I thought that's who I was. But actually, the pressure of a birthday party, the last time I did it, I was like, I am never doing this again. Loads of people came, and all I concentrated on was the people that hadn't showed up. And it was probably 10 people. And I was like, where the fuck are they? What's going on? Why haven't they sent me a message? So I went into this massive negative frame of mind when there was 100 people there. And so that RSD and perhaps some neurodivergency and all of this combined with sobriety make me feel conscious of myself and my thoughts in any social situation. Do you have any strategies that I can take on that would help me with my sober, awkward social life?
I think a good one for me has been to try and think about the other person's needs. Now, maybe this isn't so great for you because you described yourself as a people pleaser earlier on, and I'm not naturally. But if I try and think about, okay, so what is the other person trying to get out of this conversation? Or if I'm on stage, public speaking time, what does the audience need from me? It's just a good strategy to get yourself out of your head and what you're worrying about, and to try and put yourself in their shoes, which I'm sure lots of people do innately, but we don't all, and we sometimes need to remind ourselves to do that. So,
or perhaps even recognizing the fact that you don't want to go to those things, and is staying in okay?
Having conversations about you having a limited social battery is a good one. I've realized over time that I really prefer to socialize in this way and not that way. And maybe you and I can go out for, you know, a walk later this week instead of me coming to this event. I think honesty goes a long, long way and can open interesting conversations, and that the other person can go, "Oh God, me too. I'm like that." So yes, honesty is the best policy. Just tell people up front how you are. Otherwise, you know, they're not mind readers and they might take things the wrong way, or they might read into your behavior something that you didn't mean. So turn it into an interesting conversation.
Yeah. I'm 50 next year, and it's coming around pretty quick. And I do feel like I'm actually stepping into who I am a little bit. And that is somebody with boundaries, somebody who doesn't perhaps like going out as much as they thought, somebody who isn't going to be the last laugh with the punchline of every joke. I can't be bothered with it anymore. And instead of me feeling nervous about that, I feel kind of empowered, which is a lovely feeling.
I'm 52, and I've got, as in I am also 50, and I've got friends my age who are increasingly deciding, no, I don't want to be the person who provides the punchline and covers for other people's behavior. And so they are noticing that people are a little bit shocked, and then they literally have to explain to them, do you know what, my entire life I've been doing X, Y, and Z, and I've just decided to be a bit kinder on myself and not do that anymore. So again, it's just like, It's a bit of radical honesty, as they say.
Yeah, I mean, you can't argue with honesty, can you, Jenny? If someone's honest with me, even if it's bad, all I do is think, you're bloody brilliant. Thank you for telling me the truth. Like, just tell me, I don't like you. I'd rather somebody just said that, just rather than me like being at a party, wondering whether they like me. I would love somebody just to say, I'm sorry, you're too much. I don't like you for this, this and this reason. I'd go, oh my God, brilliant. Thank you for letting me out of my misery. We don't need to speak anymore. It's fine. I'm glad this is over. Let's not pretend anymore. In fact, I probably need more people to do that. It'd make my life a lot easier.
I'm suddenly reminded of when Shannon Doherty died, the actress from Charmed and 90210.
Yeah.
She knew she was dying, and on her podcast she made it clear that all these different people, and she named them, do not have to come to her funeral. It's fine. You don't have to show up and pretend you like me. I'm letting you off the hook. Please don't come.
Oh my God, Jenny, I'm coming to your funeral, just so you know. And you don't need to come. Please. No, you don't need to come to mine. Let's not pretend that that's going to happen. You can tell me now.
You live a long way away.
Yeah, that can be your excuse. No, just tell me I don't like you. It's fine. I really don't mind.
I do like you. I like you very much.
Okay, good. That's all right then. Phew. If anyone wants to find Jenny or read some of her amazing work, she wrote a book called Women of Substances. Can you tell me a little bit about that, Jenny, before we go?
Yeah, I wrote that in 2017, and I'd read a lot of addiction memoirs. I wanted to read one where there were actually answers to all the questions I had. I didn't adhere to the sort of it's a disease theory, and I just wanted to get really into questions about, comorbidity with different mental health issues and how we self-medicate and the role that trauma plays. And so I'm the case study, and I interview lots of researchers, neuroscientists, clinicians. There's tons of studies crunched in there, but hopefully not in a dry way. And it wound up being used on university reading lists and used by treatment services. So that was the biggest, I guess, validation. Yeah. Like, I really wanted answers, and people were going, yes, this is a really useful resource. Great. But it's also got the kind of gnarly personal tale in there, and a lot of gallows humor, as is our way. Lots of info, and it's very gendered. It's looking at the female experience in particular.
Amazing. And Jenny's book, An Introvert's Guide to Leaving the House, is out now and available, Jenny, in all good bookshops, we always say. Like, why do we say all good ones? It's available in the shit ones as well.
Well, I mean, if it's not available, then they're shit. I think that's what the implication is. Yeah. But you can also buy it on, if you stick the title into Google, you'll have a wealth of options with which to buy it.
Yeah, and I'll put all Jenny's links in the show notes and everything. I'm glad that we managed to do this, Jenny. I feel like it's been a long time coming. When we met, we had a funny little outing together, didn't we? We ended up going to a bookshop and going, hello, we're authors, and telling the poor lady there all about us. She was just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, that was fun, because we both had books that are about to come out. I think yours came out
at the same
month
time
before mine. Yeah. And you'd gone on. We both went on the Today Show.
Yes, we did.
And you went on a month before me, or 2 weeks. So you were able to give me like the blow by blow account of what was going to happen and stuff. So we were kind of chasing each other's publicity cycle, which is funny.
And we both had that weird hair on there, didn't we? Do you remember any TV show or anything, they do this mermaid hair? They just get the tongs out. As soon as you sit down in the chair, they're like, let's tong them. And I had these like beautiful mermaid curls. I always find, like, I don't know whether you might find this too, but if my hair looks really nice, I'm worried that people are going to be disappointed in my face.
But didn't they bronze the hell out of your face? I feel like I look like Gina from The Real Housewives of Melbourne on that show.
I always think, what are you doing to me? Like, my message is authenticity and being a complete mess. And you're trying to make me look like some sort of Beverly Hills housewife. And I feel like there'd be people working there who've just started their new job in their 20s, and they'll see the hair from the back, and then I'll turn around and it's like some sort of horror film. Like, oh, it's just a grumbly old lady.
Did you not rock the look all day though? I went around Sydney all day looking like that.
I thought I looked good for a couple of hours there. Yeah, I felt pretty confident striding around. I think I was in Melbourne, wasn't I? I don't know where I was, but I definitely felt like I looked good. Isn't it ridiculous? God.
We did look good.
We did look good,
I think we should put our pictures up when we're promoting this episode.
Okay, that's a good idea. And everyone can say, oh, God, yeah, you are actually gorgeous. Anyway, I think people are scared of you, by the way, because I think you're very cool.
Oh, thank you. Look, I won't knock that one
Yeah,
back.
don't, because that is why.
I've put so much effort into giving that impression.
Yeah, okay, good. It's working. Thanks, Jenny. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you're questioning your relationship with booze, struggling to moderate, or your hangovers are causing anxiety, it might be time to reach out for some support. Talk to a mate, book in with your GP, go to an AA meeting, or find an online support group. I've got one. Just head to cuppa.community. For more resources, head to soberawkward.com, where you'll find details of our amazing Thailand sober holidays, the 30-day sobriety guide, books, blogs, writing courses, and loads more. I know this sobriety thingamajig can feel uncomfortable at first, but there is help out there. Find your community, connect, and start to feel the awkward and do it anyway. And if you've enjoyed the Sober Awkward podcast, please rate it, review it, and share it with your mates. Because honestly, my mates are bored of hearing about it. So, as you probably know, my comedy memoir, 1,000 Wasted Sundays, is officially out. All my magnificent fuck-uppery in one awkward hit. If you'd like to get your hands on a copy, it's now available from all good bookstores.
We always say all good bookstores, don't we?
Yeah.
Are there bad bookstores?
No, it's probably ones with moody sellers.
Oh, yeah, really depressed librarian folk.
Yes,
okay,
yeah,
good.
yeah. So there are probably some, but we're only storing it in the good ones.
It's only made it into the goodies.
You can also get it from all good online retailers. The print version and ebook are out now, and the audiobook will be available in March. I've been writing my memoir for 5 years. It will make you laugh, cry and cringe, and hopefully inspire a few people to reconsider their relationship with booze. If you love the podcast, then I think you'll love the book, even if I do say so myself. Hamish has read it. What did you think?
I feel like I know a little bit too much about you now, to be honest, Vic. Look, I really loved it. It was hilarious and surprisingly moving, but I feel like I've seen you naked in a literary sense. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's worrying.
Yeah. From an emotional point of view, seriously, it wobbled my teeny weeny wooden heart, Vic.
Okay.
My teeny little wooden heart.
Well, his wooden heart is broken. Anyway, so if you do manage to get your filthy mitts on a copy, please do me a favour and head to goodreads.com and give me a review. Doing that will help me get it out there to those that need a bit of sober support. So there you have it. My story, unwanted warts and all. Come and get awkward with me.
Not to be too demanding or anything, but seriously, go and buy it now.
Go and buy it. Go and buy it right now.
Yeah, don't just tell your friends, buy it, and then buy your friends one or two.
Yeah, don't give them a copy, buy it. Yeah.
And you know what? Don't be careful where you store it. If you lose it, you can always buy another 5.
Buy another one.
Yeah.